Hey, what's up guys? And today I'm going to be reacting to a girl who says she went to war with her best friend over a guy. Let's get into it.
Hi, I'm Mandy. Please like and subscribe, and tomorrow you will have the best news. Growing up, we moved around a lot because my parents were journalists. I got really good at making friends quickly, but holding on to any of them was tough since I always ended up leaving. No matter how many of my so-called besties promised they'd stay in touch, after a while, they never did. It was heartbreaking every time. One day, Mom came home with big news. She got a job in Washington, D.C. for a national newspaper, and we wouldn't have to move anymore. I was so excited. Finally, I would have rooms of our own to decorate, make friends that would last. It was a dream. When I started at my new high school, I was nervous. I had to make an amazing first impression because this one had to stick. When I sat down at my desk in the homeroom, the other kids looked at me like I was an alien, until a pretty brunette girl sat down next to me. Hey, I'm Jasmine. Love your jeans. Where'd you get them? A thrift store in New York? Oh my god, is that where you're from? Sort of. I told her all about life on the road, and we hit it off right away. I could tell she was popular, and it was easy to see why. Very involved in all sorts of clubs and sports. So charming and top 2 of her class. She was always competing for the top spot against this one kid, Chase. She warned me about how annoying he was, and I totally agreed. I was stuck next to him in math class, and he was always talking and distracting me from taking notes. From the second we met, Jasmine invited me everywhere with her and her friends. We did our homework together, ate lunch, had sleepovers. It was amazing. Soon after I started school, Jasmine convinced me to come to her French club to see if I wanted to join. She introduced me to her friend Camille, and we had so much fun. We watched French movies and practiced speaking with each other. I joined immediately. They were going to choose 2 students for a summer study abroad in Paris. I just knew it would be a really smart move for my future. One day, I went to Camille's house to study with her, and suddenly, the cutest boy I had ever seen walked into her kitchen. Hey, butthead. Excuse me? Sorry, that was meant for my dumb little sister. Ugh, don't listen to him. I'm Ryan. You must be the famous Mandy I've heard so much about. Don't you have somewhere else to be? Nowhere better than right where Mandy is. Then he smiled the most perfect smile I'd ever seen. I could have melted into a puddle right there. The next day at French Club, I told Jasmine all about him. Oh my god, Jazz, he's on the soccer team, good at school. Wow, he sounds like the perfect package. OMG, he's here. She turned to see Ryan walk into the room right then. Suddenly, her eyes turned to ice in front of me. Ryan, he's my ex. Oh, but I mean, if you like him, I guess... No, of course, I wouldn't. Oh, good, because it'd be so weird. I'm so glad we're friends.
What are you all talking about?
Oh, nothing. It's, nice to see you again. Since when are you in French Club?
Since I found out Mandy joined.
It was so awkward, I thought I'd die. Just then, Madame Delacroix clapped her hands for announcement time. For our upcoming Parents' Night, we will be breaking off into pairs to research and cook a classic French dish. She started grouping us, and surprise, surprise, I got paired with Ryan. For just a second, I thought I could see the ice return to Jasmine's eyes, but she blinked and it was gone. I felt sort of guilty that I'd be spending so much time with Ryan, but I vowed to keep my promise to Jasmine. Soon after that, I got assigned to help Chase hand out awards at the banquet. Hanging out with him all night would be the perfect punishment for me. A few days later, Ryan and I had to get together at his house to make chocolate mousse. My favorite. Have you ever made this before? No, but I've watched my dad make it, so I think Just then, I started the mixer. It started whipping everything up so fast that our chocolate mixture started flying out of the bowl. Soon, we were both covered in chocolate. I was mortified, but Ryan just laughed and swiped some chocolate off my nose.
Weird. Just weird. Looks like you have poop all over your face. Come on. How do you not know how to use a blender?
Looks good to me.
After we got cleaned up, we managed to make a second batch, just in time to make it to the event. Madame Delacroix tasted every dish and said ours was the best of all of them. I was pretty proud, and I hoped it would get me some extra points toward the Paris program. Not even having to sit next to Chatterbox Chase all night could ruin my mood. After that, Ryan started asking me to hang out more and more. Soccer games, study sessions, sometimes even trips for ice cream after. He was really funny, and we liked all the same books. I could tell he liked me, and I was really starting to like him, but I couldn't betray Jasmine. When I told my mom about it, she thought I was being ridiculous.
I don't think Jasmine really has your best interests at heart, Mandy.
She was my first friend here, but that doesn't make her a good friend. What kind of friend keeps you from being with someone you really like? It's girl code. So I was definitely surprised the next day at lunch when our group started talking about boys to hear Jasmine exclaim, "Who needs him? I've so moved on from Ryan. I mean, we only dated a few weeks anyway. Mandy, you can have him for all I care." I was elated to hear her say that, but now I was nervous. I'd never really pursued anyone before, but all the signs were there, and I decided to go for it. Soon after, Ryan hurt his ankle at a soccer match and had to leave the field. We lost. I decided to visit him the next day, especially now that Jazz had given her blessing. When I walked into his living room with some cheery daisies, his whole face lit up and he pulled me down to the couch in a huge hug. When we pulled away, I felt like I was falling into his beautiful brown eyes. I thought for just a second I might get my first real kiss, but I chickened out. I brought some ice cream too, for Sundays.
You're the best. You know that?
We watched TV and ate way too much ice cream, but things felt a little different. He was texting almost constantly when he usually was always talking to me nonstop. I wondered if I had ruined things by pulling away earlier. I tried to ignore it, but when my mom came to get me, I was sort of glad to leave. For the next few days, I tried to keep my head down and work hard towards the Paris trip, but I was glad for the distraction when Jasmine announced her birthday party to the whole class. Mini golf this weekend. My birthday wish list is on all the invites.
You going?
Of course, Jazz is my best friend.
Sure she is.
Cryptic much? You're so weird. I caught up with her in the hallway after. Can I hitch a ride to your party? This will be so fun. I already have your gift. My carpool is full already. Oh, okay, But she was already halfway down the hall, leaving me in her dust. I figured she was just distracted about her party and tried not to think about her weird behavior. I texted Ryan to see if he and Camille wanted to carpool, but all I got were 3 typing bubbles in response. And then, nothing. In fact, I didn't hear anything from anyone all weekend. What was going on? On Saturday, when my mom dropped me off at mini golf, a gift in hand,
I'm gonna guess that him and her are trying to get it back together when she says he was over it, and then it starts the war.
For Jasmine, I pasted a big smile on my face as I got out of the car. Chase waved to me and smiled. He really wasn't so annoying, maybe just a little awkward. As we walked into the party room, imagine my shock when I saw Jasmine standing there holding hands with none other than Ryan. A pit dropped to the bottom of my stomach. When she leaned over to kiss him, I thought I'd die. All I wanted to do was run home and curl up under the covers, but I couldn't. It was Jasmine's birthday, my best friend. Still, I was mortified. Everyone knew I liked him, and they had all seen us spend so much time together. Now, he wouldn't even look at me. As everyone started pairing off and heading to the golf course, I realized I didn't have a partner. Blinking back tears, I suddenly felt a warm hand on my shoulder.
Hey, let's pair up for a round?
Sure. Chase and I played through, and even though I had a pit in my stomach, we actually had a lot of fun. He was pretty good, and even when I kept missing my shots, he'd sneak over and nudge it in with his foot and pretend he hadn't. When we went inside for Jasmine's cake, I tried to put on a brave face, but when Ryan leaned over to help her blow out her birthday candles, and Jasmine turned to smile at me with a gleam in her eye like nothing was wrong, I knew I had to leave. I snuck out to the bathroom to call my mom to get me, and as soon as I got into her car, I burst into tears and cried all the way home. And even though Chase texted me to check on me, and Camille did too, the one person who I actually thought would worry enough to reach out never did. I didn't hear from Jasmine until Monday in homeroom. Mandy, why'd you leave my party? The cake was so good. Why did I leave? Jasmine, what? You have to know why I left. I don't know what you're talking about. You knew I liked Ryan. You told me you'd moved on. And all of a sudden you show up with him without telling me? How can you be mad? He was my boyfriend. Your ex-boyfriend that you said I could pursue. Why tell me that if you wanted him back all along? See, this is why we kept it quiet. We knew you'd be upset. What? We got back together the day he got hurt at his soccer match. He wanted to tell you, but we all knew you'd just be upset. So, you've just been lying to me for weeks? All of you? Jazz, How am I supposed to trust anything any of you say? All's fair in love and war. And with that, she flipped her hair over her shoulder and switched desks. I was devastated. My first real friend, and everything had gotten so messed up. What had I missed? When I saw Ryan walking home from school, I sped up to catch him. What the heck, Ryan? I thought we liked each other. And then you show up like that with Jasmine and totally blindside me?
I didn't know you liked me.
Oh, come on. The ice cream, the flowers. You knew I liked you. There have been several moments, and I didn't just imagine that you liked me too.
I did, but you never said anything.
Well, neither did you.
And then when Jasmine came to me after I got hurt, saying she wanted to get back together, why would I turn her down when I wasn't even the one to break up with her?
Like me, don't like me, fine. But you could have had the decency to say something before just showing up like that and humiliating me. I deserve better than that. I tried to put on a brave face at school. After all, hadn't I been a lone wolf for my whole life? But I'd gotten so used to having a friend at school that I suddenly felt the absence. Luckily, Chase came to sit by me the first time he saw me sitting alone at lunch. I couldn't see why I'd hated him so much for so long, other than the fact that Jasmine didn't like him. He was so sweet and really smart. Even though I avoided Jasmine and Ryan at all costs, I refused to quit French Club. As the weather got nicer, Chase tried to get me to come out to soccer games, parties, concerts, but my sole focus was on school. I was more determined than ever to get one of the spots to go to Paris, and pray that Jasmine wouldn't get the other one. Chase became my favorite study buddy. He was almost as determined as I was for me to win the top spot on the Paris trip. On the last day of school, our report cards came out. Straight A's. Chase and I got big ice cream sundaes after school to celebrate. As I looked across the table at him, I thought about everything that had happened with Jasmine and Ryan and our whole big group, and I decided I was so glad to have one actual good friend instead of a bunch of not-so-great ones. Afterwards, Chase and I walked down the National Mall as the sun set. So, Mr. Number One in the class, how does it feel?
I'm just glad to have beat her, to be honest. Especially after everything that happened with you.
I can take care of myself.
I know, but from day one, you seemed so nice, and I tried to make friends with you so quickly because I knew she'd come after you right away.
What do you mean?
Jasmine and I have been in the same class since kindergarten. She has always kept the girls she was most afraid of close. You know, keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
But I was never her enemy.
She's always been afraid of the smart, pretty girls in our grade. Even if you don't see it, trust me, to her, you were a threat.
Wow, I had no idea. But if I had to go through all that to become friends with you, it was worth it. Suddenly, my phone rang. It was Madame Delacroix. Hello?
Mandy, I'm pleased to inform you that you have been selected for this summer study abroad in Paris. Pack your bags, mademoiselle. I am so proud.
Oh, wow, thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. When we hung up, I squealed. Oh my god, I'm gonna have a stamp in my passport. Suddenly, Chase's phone rang, and when he saw the caller ID, he looked up at me with a gleam in his eye. I could barely contain my excitement. And when he finally said thank you and hung up, he turned to me with a huge smile.
Looks like I'll have a matching stamp.
Paris? Together? I threw my arms around him, overjoyed to be off on a big adventure with my first real friend.
Well, that's it for today, guys. And that's it. I might do another one of these. Goodbye.